welcome back. This is training module number 2. We are going to be going through the 4 stages of fear. And so hopefully you guys have done the homework from module 1. You've put your comments in below. You're going to want to do the same thing here as well. Sorry, you probably hear my cat sneezing in the background, so bear with me as we go through this training. Wow, she's really sneezing a lot. It's allergy season. All right. So 4 stages of fear. So as we talked about in module 1, there's love and there's fear. So fear is false evidence appearing real. Fear is an illusion. Everything that is fear is a cry for love. So it's really important to understand the 4 stages of fear, so that we can recognize when we ourselves are in those stages of fear. And there's also, the longer you're in that stage, then you end up progressing to each one of the subsequent stages. So we're going to be going over this so that you can start to recognize when you're in a state of fear. And it's not that it's a bad thing. I want to make that clear. It's not bad to be in a state of fear. It is just a gentle reminder that we need to start moving towards a place of love. And I will go through that in the trainings as we go through this, how we can shift ourselves back from a place of fear into a place of love. So whether we're in depression or anxiety or frustration or anger or any of those dark thoughts, it is just a cue for us to know that we need to move back and return to love. Okay? So the first stage is fight. And so when we first get triggered in fear, oftentimes our reaction is to fight back. We want to argue, we want to defend, we want to protect. And that's not always a bad thing, because you know what? There are times when people will cross our boundaries or will actually threaten us. And it is not a bad thing to be aware of this, but we need to shift out of this fight mode and into a place of love, so that we're not attacking back the other person, especially when these are relationships that matter to us, whether they're family, friends, co-workers, spouses, whoever we come across. We need to be aware when we have been triggered into a fight stage. And what that means is we're now starting to get more closed off. We're not open to hearing what other people are having to say. So it is much easier to get ourselves out of a fight stage and recognize that this is the first sign of fear. And when we start asking ourselves questions along the lines of, what is it that I'm afraid of? Not, I'm pissed off, I can't take this anymore. We have to stop and ask ourselves, what am I actually afraid of? And that will start to change our mindset to kind of really acknowledging what's going on with us, and that allows us to shift back into love. Because remember, fear is false evidence appearing real. So whatever it is that we are believing in that moment is not the truth. It is not love. It is love is the only thing that's real, right? Love is God, good orderly direction. So head in that direction. So fight is the first stage. Now, if you stay in this state of fear for a long enough time, you're going to run out of energy. Okay, so this is the first energy level. Okay, you will end up, if you are fighting an opponent, you're, think of a UFC fight, right? You're fighting a guy that you can't quite beat him. Well, you're going to try to do the next best thing, although you can't really get out of the ring in a UFC fight, but you're going to flight, okay? So when we have expended whatever energy we can fighting, the next thing that we're going to want to do is run away. So the second stage is flight. we run away from the situation. There's all kinds of different ways that humans can run away from a situation. We can run away by getting involved in other things that have nothing to do with the situation. So we don't want to deal with it. We're like, la 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 la, not paying attention. I'm going to run away. I'm going to go do drugs. I'm going to do alcohol. I'm going to eat. I'm going to work. I'm going to gamble. Whatever. This is where your addiction kind of stuff ends up coming in a lot of times. And the thing is human beings can turn anything into an addiction. Even good things will turn into something negative for us. And it's just a matter of how long we're in that energy, right? So the second stage of fear is flight. We run away from the situation. We avoid it. We don't want to deal with it. We're running. We're just too busy to look at it. We're in denial about the situation. We're in denial that things are scaring us. We're in denial about what's going on. And when we're in denial, we don't even know I am lying. That's what denial stands for. We end up avoiding a lot of different things, and that doesn't actually solve the problem. And we have to, now, if we're trying to get back to love, now not only do we have to stop running, we have to fight our way back through and then shift into what am I afraid of, okay? So the third thing is when you stay in flight, you can only run so long, you're going to run out of energy, right? And if you think of somebody trying to get away from a battle, they fought all they can, they can't beat the opponent, now they're running away trying to find some sort of safety, some sort of way to get away, okay? And then the third thing is you end up freezing. This is the third stage. I know I've got my back turned to you guys, sorry. So, freezing, third stage. You can't fight, you can't run anymore, you find some place to hide, you freeze, right? You get into a place of, you're like a deer in headlights, you just end up stopping, and other people around you might be like, what are you doing? Why don't you just leave that abusive situation? Why don't you just do this? And everything seems so simple to everybody else, and you're like, I know I need to do these things, but I can't quite get myself to do these. And you feel stuck in this stage a lot of times, and you will end up not doing the things that you know that you want to do, and you just can't seem to get the energy. It's because you've been in fear for a very long time, okay? On this particular subject, whatever it may be, and it could be something greatly abusive, it could be something not abusive, but you've just been, you went from fighting the fear to avoiding the fear to being stuck in the fear, and you're like, I don't know what to do. I can't figure things out. I don't have a solution. I don't know what to do. And this is where you end up not moving forward. You can't run away, you can't move forward, you can't go back, you're just like, I don't know what to do. Deer in the headlights kind of thing, right? So you stay in that energy for a long enough period, then you end up moving to the last phase, which is fawn. And what I want you to think of in the fawn stage means you have been in a situation for long enough where you can't fight, you can't run away, you don't know what to do, and you're stuck, and you can't get away, you're stuck in that situation. And now, whatever it is that's been scaring you, whatever it is that maybe has been abusing you, you end up going into a fawn state. And what this looks like is people pleasing, where you don't even know that this isn't something that you want anymore. You start siding, they call it Stockholm Syndrome, where somebody who's been captured in war and they're being abused and they can't fight any longer, they can't run away, they're stuck. Well, now your only recourse is to find some sort of way to survive in that state of fear, and that's usually by placating and people pleasing whoever your prisoner or your is it prisoner? Yeah, whoever's keeping you prisoner or held hostage, whatever it is, that you can't get away from that, and so you will end up defaulting to a state of people pleasing and fawning, and where you're not even recognizing that you're in a state of fear anymore. And for me, this was something that I had been in for a very long period of time, and still catch myself slipping into that mode, because it's also a learned behavior. The longer you've been in these states, it's not that you can't get out of them, it's being aware of what the stages are and how to move your way back through them and how to return to love. And that is a state where you are much more able to be productive. So if you're not being productive and you're beating yourself up and you're like, oh, I did this wrong, I did that wrong, that's usually you're in that fawn stage, okay? It's my fault, I'm a terrible person, all of those kind of things. So those are the 4 stages of fear. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to go through for your homework is I want you to think of each of these stages of fear, and I want you to think of examples of behavior that apply to that. So what do you like when you are fighting with somebody? What do you like? Like, are you sarcastic? Are you defensive? Are you, do you yell? What is it that you do in that stage? And then I want you to go through flight, and I want you to say, ask yourself, how do you actually run away from things? How do you avoid things that you're like, I don't want to do with this? Maybe you play video games. Maybe you, oh, I'm going to go work out at the gym, or I'm going to go do this, or I'm going to go do that. Whatever it is that you're avoiding. And that's not always a bad thing. It's just a matter of how long are you doing that behavior, right? It's okay to have certain things that are coping strategies, and that's usually how those things start out. It's just a matter of time. It's not like having a drink is a bad thing, but if you have 50 drinks in a night, then there might be a problem, or you keep doing that, or you keep going back to the default mode. It means you're running away and you're not facing the fear, okay, which isn't even real to begin with. Keep that in mind. If you're stuck, you're procrastinating, you don't know the answers, you can't move forward, you're just like, oh, I give up, I don't care, blah, blah, blah. Those are signs of freezing, and I want you to find out, what are your signs of freezing, okay? What does that look like for you, okay? Because this is going to make all of the difference of you recognizing this in your own behavior is going to make this training so much more impactful than me just talking at you. And then fawn. How do you get into people pleasing? Okay, so this could also be peacekeeping. You might be like, oh, I don't do any people pleasing. Okay. When your girlfriend's upset, do you just go along or just say, yes, dear? Do you fight back? What do you do? If you're fighting back, then you're probably in a state of fear there. But if you're just like, you know what, it's not even worth fighting. I'm just going to let it go, let it go, let it go. And then maybe you end up blowing up. These two end up crisscrossing as well, right? So you can go back and forth this way or this way as well. So you might be in peacemaker. Oh, I'm just going to keep the peace. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let it go because I have a bad temper, whatever it is. So you might slip into fawn stage and not realize you're doing that. And then you end up blowing up. And then you go into fight stage. So comment below that you've done this module and share with us what your key indicators of each one of these stages, what jumped out at you with this training. And I will see you in module 3, where we're going to go through the 5 stages of grief. And so this is when you've dealt with a loss, whether it's a partner, a job, anything that you have lost in life. There are 5 stages of grief, and we're going to talk about that in module 3. Take care. Bye.